Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's episode we're going to be talking about rib roast. We have Christmas coming up and I want to show you guys the places you can go to spend the least amount on a rib roast as possible. So what do you guys think I paid for this? Do you think I paid $11 a pound, $10, $9? I paid $8.59 a pound for this rib roast, and I went over actually to US Food Store locally near where I live. And that was right before Thanksgiving. This is about 2 days ago, and they're running a special at $8.59 a pound, and they normally run about $9.59, $9.99 a pound. So extremely affordable. And I'd encourage you guys to actually cut these yourself. Buy these wholesale. You can look up wholesale retail places near you, and you can find these places, and they'll sell these for pretty reasonably priced. You'd be surprised. So first, let's get into cutting this thing. What you're going to want to know first before you get into it is meat cutting knives. You're going to want to know which ones to pick up if you don't already have one of these to cut this yourself. This is a 10-inch Cimeter. It's made by Victorinox. I've been using these guys for about going on 18 years now. And you can either use a 10-inch Cimeter or you can use a 10-inch breaking knife. These are both Victorinox. That's the only brand I ever use. I'm kind of more partial to the Cimeter because it's got a bigger blade on it. They cut pretty similarly. I just prefer this one. This guy is running right now on Amazon about 45 to 47, somewhere in that range. And I have links down in my description down below if you guys want to pick up any of these knives. I've got links to Amazon to where you can find these. Super inexpensive. They're not cheap. They're really good knives. If you take care of them, they'll last you a lifetime. Me being a professional meat cutter, they last me a good couple years. Sometimes you'll wear the blades down to, maybe quarter, half inch up, and at that point you're probably going to want to replace them. But anybody cutting meat themselves at home, they'll probably last you a lifetime as long as you steel them properly and you buy a nice sharpening tri-stone. Here's another knife I use. It's called a boning knife. This is really important if you're wanting to debone any meat from the bone on an animal. So this is a semi-stiff boning knife. This is also Victorinox. And this guy ran me right around, when I bought this, it was about $25. Now they're running around $30 on Amazon. Again, I've got links down below. I've got links to other equipment too, like scabbards. It's really important if you don't have a setup to where you can keep your knives safe, put away. You're going to want a scabbard. You're probably going to want a cutting glove to keep your hands safe. I've been cutting for 18 years, so sometimes I don't use one. At work I do, but not when I'm at home. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started cutting this bad boy. So this is my second time filming this, unfortunately. I filmed it and then my camera stopped. It said that I was over on my on how much recording time I could have. So what I did, I'll put this back up here for you. I took off this this membrane off the ribs. That's the first thing you're going to want to do when you start cutting this. And you can do that simply. You don't need a meat hook. You simply just need a butter knife. Everyone has these. You're just going to want to get underneath that membrane, just pull up a little bit to where it's just barely, just barely up. Then you're going to want to put your fingers underneath, and it's super easy just to tear up and then tear this thing off. Super easy. Anybody can do this. Don't let something like this intimidate you. Anyone can learn how. I want to teach you guys how to be self-sufficient, self-reliant, and not depend on the grocery store as much. And with these economic times, the more you know, the better. Second thing I did was I took off the bones, partially took them off. So what you're going to want to do, I'll kind of line this up like I had the first time I shot it. You guys can see that okay. So you're going to want to take your boning knife, you're going to want to run it right along the side of the rib here. You're going to want to ride the bone and kind of push in towards the bone, right? All the way down about halfway right about to the end, about halfway. Okay, then you're going to want to open these ribs up. Then you're going to want to keep riding that bone all the way down. And as you're doing it, you're pulling the rib open, kind of cutting it open like this until you have it hinged, just like this. This is pretty much where the video stopped. So, okay, so now that we have this hinged, you don't want to cut it all the way through, unless you're going to want to make this boneless. Then you cut it all the way through, which I'm going to demonstrate in a minute. If you're wanting this for a roast, you're going to want to leave this hinged, flip it back over, okay? And for me personally, I'm cutting up my house right now. So what I want to do is I want to use the New York end, which is this nice lean end right here. This would actually be facing like this on the cow, okay? Got New York end, that's facing the back of the cow. Then you got your chuck end, that's facing the front of the cow on the chuck roast, okay? Hopefully you guys can see it okay on camera. So normally a lot of people, well, it just depends. Some people like a nice marbled rib roast, and I do too, but I kind of like the marbled ends better for steaks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the New York end. I'm going to do, and by the way, these come in 7-bone rib roast typically. Always, actually, sorry. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 rib bones make up a whole rib, right? Not to be confused with the 7-bone chuck roast, which is increasingly harder to find these days. That's actually bone-in chuck, and now they debone them. Anyway, back on topic here. So 7-bone rib roast. So you got 7 bones, and right here you can see little gaps. You can see little gaps in between the ribs, okay? You can cut in between most of these. Now usually in the meat shop you would chime this, and that would allow you more room to kind of fit your knife in between these bones, but I don't have a bandsaw right now. I am currently working on sourcing one. Anyway, I'm gonna cut this into a 2-bone rib roast. So that's these 2 bones. I'm gonna cut in between these ribs right here. Pretty easy to do. You're not gonna run into the bone all the way down, okay? That's nice. It's actually leaner than I was hoping for, but it's still nice. This is, like I said, select. As I had mentioned before, this was $8.59 a pound over at US Chef's Food Store, and I saw over at Costco the same day they were selling theirs for $12.49 or $12.99, somewhere in the $12 range. So you're already saving a lot, but Costco did have choice grade meat. This is select, which is okay. It just has less marbling than choice. Okay, so we're going to set this aside. Now we're going to cut the boneless ones, as I was mentioning earlier. I'm going to use the rest of this for my boneless ribeyes. So you're going to want to come underneath this rib right here. You can see, show you guys a good view. Have your knife underneath, cut all the way down and out, okay? Now you have a nice little rack of beef ribs, okay? And these are awesome on the slow cooker. Sometimes I'll just season these, throw them on my smoker initially and get them mostly done, and then I'll throw this in my crock pot and throw it on there for a good 4 to 6 hours, and the meat just falls right off the bone. You can shred it up, make sandwiches with it, and then you don't have that membrane you have to deal with that's going to get stuck in your teeth. So that's what I personally do, or I just eat it as it is from the smoker. Okay, so next, what we're going to do is cut this into ribeye steaks. So if you're cutting this professionally, if you're a meat cutter that's starting out, you want to square both these ends up. You want to square this end up, which I'll demonstrate here. Okay, you want to cut as minimally off as possible. Not only for shrink purposes for work, but if you're doing this at home, you just don't want to waste any meat. This will be a nice little snack for breakfast. I know I can cook that up with some eggs, set that aside. Now, yeah, it's up to you whether you want to have like good 1.5 inch thick steaks, you want 3/4, 1/2 inch, completely up to you. I like mine at right around 3/4 to 1 inch, so right about here. So I'm going to cut this the rest of this down 3/4 to 1 inch steaks. Okay. All the way down. Give my knife a little steel here. When I was an apprentice, I cut part of my finger off. You guys can see that there. So it makes it a little bit harder to grip. You don't realize how much dexterity you have in these two bottom, your pinky and your index finger. So sometimes my knife is slippery and it slips around, but anyway. Cut your steaks all the way down, nice and consistent. Especially if you're cutting these for work. Want to have nice consistent steaks, okay? And sometimes your cut will be, this will be off a little bit if you're cutting the whole thing. Usually they're angled out like that. So as you're cutting down, you want to kind of make small little corrections until you match that same angle. So you don't have a wedge at the end of your steak when you get done. Your last steak, I mean, okay? One more steak to go here. Alright. The chuck-in steaks, you really don't have to trim off too much. They're pretty good as it is. This is when it starts to kind of get a little bit fattier. That one's still okay. I'll leave that right there. This one, also good. That one, good. I'll probably cut that off after it's done cooking, but that'll help with the cooking process and add some flavor and fat to the steak. Now these last three, a little bit on the fattier side. So just cut off as much or as little as you want. It's completely up to you. I like mine nice and pretty looking. Okay, cut this a little bit here. And you can trim up some of this if you want to. The bottom doesn't really bother me too much, so I'm going to leave that. All this is, maybe I'll cut that little piece off there. Now this piece is pretty good, just cut a little bit off on this. Okay. Now, since I use a Traeger smoker, I'm kind of partial to the Traeger brand seasonings. They're really, really good. I also like another brand, drawing a blank on the name now, but you can get a lot of those at Costco. But this prime rib seasoning is excellent. So I'm just shaking it up right now, get it nice and loose. So first thing you want to do is get some olive oil and coat this roast with some oil on here. Just rub it in. Along the whole, everywhere on the roast. Okay. Give it a good coat. This side. A little more. On the top. Okay. And lastly, you want to open up that rib right here and make sure you get some olive oil in the center of this. Okay, oil that up nice and really well, and then we're going to season this guy here. Hopefully I have enough for this whole thing. Rub your seasoning in there. Get it stick really well. Okay, close that guy up here. Now we'll coat the sides. What's your guys' favorite seasoning to use? Let me know in the comments down below. Always interested in new seasonings to try. Got a cupboard full of them right now, but like I said, I'm really partial to the Traeger brand. Alright, now we got this thing pretty well seasoned here, guys. So now what we're going to do is tie this thing up. And I believe in my last video I demonstrated on how to tie these. I'll show you again real quick here. Is have the cut end away from you, right? Then you're going to want to have the other end. You want to curl the string around your two fingers right here. You want to take the end string, put it over top of your two fingers, push down, and make a 360 with your two fingers all the way around, all the while keeping the string down low, okay? So I'll do this real slow. Like this, turn, 360, right? Use these two fingers to grab that twine. Grab these, your index and your thumb, grab this, that loop, feed that end through, right? Okay? Go like that. Take your fingers, wrap it around the twine, push up, and you want to have that twine right on the bone. And then sometimes the bone will actually cut the twine, so that's just what happened there. So we're going to try that again. Okay, let's try the sticker twine. Alright, same thing. Up. There we go. Then you pull back and you hear a snap. That's just what happened there. So then you want to do the same thing. Grab this twine, pull it through, and that'll close off the knot. Cut the excess, and do it again. And you generally want to do that. You want to put a piece of twine on every bone. If you have a 7 bone, you're going to want to put 1 piece of twine on each bone. So just for appearance purposes, you want to put that twine right on the bone, on each bone. Although it doesn't really matter too much. So I'm just going to put 2 pieces of twine right here. Okay, got that one. I'm going to close off the knot there, cut the excess. Okay, and there we have it. Nice tied rib roast. And we did it at home. We didn't have to depend on the meat cutter, and instead of paying $12 a pound or $15, $16 a pound for something like this, you can do it yourself. I think everybody can do this themselves at home and save a ton of money. You can pay $8, $9 a pound instead of that $15, $16 a pound that you would buy a nice cut and tied rib roast, and you can do it yourself at home. Alright guys, I hope this video helps you guys this holiday season. Save some money for the Christmas coming up, or for next year. This can apply for any time of year. You don't have to do it for any specific holiday. You can always go to any one of these wholesale food stores and buy this meat for a really similar price to what I did. And if you do shop at these kind of stores, they might actually have that special coming up for Christmas. I don't know. I'm sure it's back up to $9.49 a pound right now. But I just want to let you guys know another option besides Costco. Costco is a great place to shop. I shop there myself at least once a month, and although their prices are pretty good for a whole in the bag meat products, there are other options too that are slightly cheaper. They may not be the same grade or the same company, but the grade that this was, it was IBP, Iowa Beef Company, I think it was called. Now Tyson owns it. Costco tends to sell a lot of Excel products. When I was a meat cutter, I used to cut both of those, and we used to get the same product in about the same time. So really equal in my opinion as far as quality goes. But anyway guys, I hope you really enjoyed this video. Look at everything I got here. I got 8 ribeyes. There we go. 8 ribeyes, 1 partial rack of beef ribs, 1 2-bone beef rib roast, and not bad for $137, I think it was. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up for me. It really helps my channel grow. It helps, the more people like it, the more YouTube shares my videos. I really want these to get across to more people, to help more people to show you guys how to cut your own meat and be more self-sufficient. That's really important this day and age. Thank you guys for watching. You guys have a great rest of your week, and I will see you on the next episode.